Let's dive in to the Splash Live.
Good morning. Welcome to the Splash Live. Dave Scott in our Civic Center TV studios. You have to forgive me. Like you, I need a cup of coffee every cup of coffee in the morning. That first sip gets us off to a good start. Thank you for joining us here on the program. Good to get together with you on this Tuesday morning in the Greater West Bloomfield area. Awful good to be with you. The Splash Live is part of an hour and a half of live programming, local live programming every day. We kick it off with 30 minutes of very local content here in the Splash Live. Tyler Keefe checks in this morning at 10 with the Megacast. He'll look a little bit more in Oakland County, our surrounding communities, and talk to some people from around the state of Michigan. We hope you enjoy our programming each and every day, and are here when we get going in the morning and watch replays throughout the day. Easy to watch us on Comcast Channel 15. We're on cable in the Greater West Bloomfield area. Also on Channel 99 if you happen to be an AT&T subscriber. Easy to watch us online as well at civiccentertv.com, where you'll find all of our archives and a lot of other very helpful, useful community information. We're on social media each and every morning. Civic Center TV 15 is the hashtag there, if you will, the code to find us, what you need to search for on Facebook and on YouTube. And then, of course, you can listen to us on the radio on 89.3 Lakes FM. Awful good to have you here today. Weather-wise, we're off to really a pretty good start in the Greater West Bloomfield area. Sunshine, but boy, it is a little bit cold, a little frost on the pumpkin, as they say. This morning, 28 degrees right now in West Bloomfield, only getting up to 37 degrees. But today is about the best that we're going to have over the next couple days. We do have a snow event moving into our area tomorrow. Expect anywhere from 2 maybe to 4 inches of snow. That's what they're predicting. Now, the snow band that's coming in is primarily going to be south of us. So we'll keep an eye on it and see exactly what happens. But just get prepared. We fixed the snow blower at Civic Center TV so we can move some snow in front of our studio tomorrow. I would recommend that you get prepared, and hopefully you won't need to use it. But snow tomorrow, 33 degrees, 26 our low, and then we'll be back to clouds and even a little bit cooler for Thursday. So that is a look at the weather. And thank you for being with us this morning. We have an awful lot to get to. And, you know, I guess the one thing I want to mention to you to kick off the show today is if you haven't been to a West Bloomfield Township Board meeting or a KEGO or an Orchard Lake or Sylvan Lake, one of our community board meetings, you know, it's really very interesting. And I know I'm kind of an information and political geek, but we had a great meeting last night at 6 o'clock at the West Bloomfield Township Hall. I urge you to tune in and check it out. And we've got it on Civic Center TV. You can go back and watch the archive, but you really get a good handle and feel for the things that are going on in the community. So most of today's show is going to be related to things that happened at that meeting. A lot of business happening. We'll get that out of the way really quick. Your West Bloomfield Township Board last night denied 2 liquor licenses for 2 businesses. And these liquor licenses are provisional licenses. Township only has 4 of them. And they seem to be in the mood to want to use those liquor licenses for businesses that are going to make some improvements. Redevelopment was a word they used last night. And they're trying, I think, to create some entertainment areas for us in West Bloomfield. We don't have a lot of restaurants. We certainly don't have many quote-unquote night spots. But I think that's why that happened last night. So those 2 liquor licenses were turned down. A big program going on for improvements in Upper Straits Lake. You want to find out about both of those, what's happening. Tune in to the archive of last night's meeting available today on Civic Center TV. The other really interesting part of the meeting last night were 3 big recognitions, very significant ones. And let's start with the first one. And the Township Board honored Mariah Galloway. We talked to you a little bit about the story. There's Mariah and her grandmother in the hospital. Mariah, 7-year-old, amazing 7-year-old Mariah, saved the day. Let's find out all about it and listen to our Fire Chief, Greg Flynn, introducing Mariah and setting this all up right here from last night's meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. It's a pleasure to be with you here tonight. We've started an early signing bonus for future firefighter paramedics in the township. Mariah's here alongside me. And that's really one of the things you've heard me talk about when I'm here before this board, of how important it is that our community is ready to respond. So with me here tonight is Mariah Galloway and her mother, Miss Lane, to my left. And I think it really speaks to what West Bloomfield is all about when we have a community that really is ready to respond and help out. And I think when we have a 7-year-old like Mariah that thinks very clearly and takes very swift action, we have very good outcomes. And so with that, Mr. Supervisor, prepared for you up there on the dais is a red folder with an official citation from the West Bloomfield Fire Department, signed by you, Mr. Supervisor, the Acting Fire Commissioner of West Bloomfield Township. On 11 January 2023, 7-year-old Mariah Galloway witnessed her great-grandmother trapped under the front wheel of a motor vehicle. Mariah immediately pulled the keys from the vehicle ignition and ran for help. Mariah then returned and cared for her great-grandmother until the arrival of the West Bloomfield Fire and Police Departments. Thanks to Mariah's quick actions, her great-grandmother was treated and transported to a nearby hospital. Mariah's actions bring great credit upon herself, her family, and our community. So with that, would you like to say hello to the Township Board up there, Mariah?
Hi.
Hi.
And would you like to, how's your great-grandmother doing?
She's doing pretty good.
Yeah. Is there anything like you'd like to say to them, like the fire chief needs a raise or anything like that we should talk about?
No.
No?
The risk. Nice try. Future politician, very smart.
You know, Greg, before the meeting started, she told me you should have a 10% deduction.
Anyways, Civic Center TV could cut those mics. So I really, it really does bring great joy to present this to Mariah, and I think credit to her mom and her family for raising a young lady that is ready to make those decisions when we see so many people, even as adults, kind of freeze or panic. Mariah knew just what to do. So I think this citation is very appropriate, and I know that she's looking forward to coming up there and shaking all your hands. You ready?
Miss Lane, is there anything you'd like to say on behalf of your daughter?
I would just like to say I'm very proud of her and just glad that I just equipped her with the knowledge and just the faith to just know what to do in that type of situation, because I don't know how I would have handled it. It just happened so fast. So I'm proud of you.
Mariah?
Well, clearly a very special moment at last night's board meeting. If that doesn't move you, you got a cold heart because that was a beautiful moment. We've got some video right here. The guys can roll to Mariah meeting all of the members of the township board. I mean, she saved her grandmother's life. I talked to the police officer that responded, and he said he didn't want to take any attention away from Mariah and join us on camera. But, you know, it was I'll just say it was a very serious incident, and Mariah really just stepped up, pulled the keys out of the car, and made a big difference last night. And you could see, well, not last night, but at the event a couple of weeks ago, and you could see the reaction that she had. I got a chance to talk to young Mariah after the meeting last night, and I just tried to get a couple of words out of her. She's very bashful. Let's see what she had to say.
I remember that everybody was calling me a hero.
So, are you happy that you were able to help?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have anything else you want to say to the people that are watching?
Always be really careful and follow your heart.
Well, you saw her a couple of minutes ago. We had a chance to chat a little bit. Here was Mariah's mom, Portia Lane, giving us her feedback last night.
It's been pretty overwhelming. However, you know, I'm just glad that Mariah was able to, you know, just think fast and make the right decision and just change the outcome, because it could have been way worse than what it was.
What was your first reaction when you either saw what was going on or heard the news about your daughter's actions?
Well, it happened really fast. My first reaction was I thought maybe my grandmother had trouble getting in the driveway. I had no idea that once I got to the end of the driveway, I would see her under the car, literally laid under the car. So it was pretty, traumatizing to see. It was.
But then your 7-year-old daughter is the hero here, coming up with a big rescue. Talk about that.
One, it didn't surprise me because Mariah is just always, she's always just being a leader and just thinking above her time. So it did, I was just happy and I was proud because even when I came out, I didn't realize that she put the keys out the ignition. I was trying to stop the car that was already stopped because it was just, shock, and she was able to think faster than me. So it was like, let me go get my mom, and then she ran back to the car to go with her grandmother. To be with her grandmother, and her grandmother was trying to save her by stopping the car, and in turn, she saved her grandmother.
Are you surprised, or what's your reaction to the national media?
I'm very shocked. And one thing Mariah brought to my attention, she said, I said, are you, because she's been on Channel 2, Channel 7, we've got invited to be on a few talk shows. And she said, Mommy, I did what I was supposed to do. She said, I was excited at first, but I'm just, happy I did what I was supposed to do. And that's all that, matters to me.
Portia Lane and her daughter Mariah, and Ms. Lane just mentioned there she was invited to be on a couple of talk shows. Mariah was, big national talk shows like Today and Good Morning America and whatever. So this is definitely turning into a national story, a 7-year-old hero right here in West Bloomfield. I caught up with Fire Chief Greg Flynn last night after the meeting and asked him for his comments.
I think it's the youth like Mariah that really just bring a smile to our faces and instill a lot of hope and really just optimism for the future. If a 7-year-old knows the right thing to do, right? That's awesome. And kudos to the parents and all the family members too that have raised Mariah to be the quick thinker that she is.
It must have warmed your heart, though, to be there at the lectern with her and being able to help present her to the community.
Well, I can tell you, this was a feel-good story to be at that lectern with, and these are the kinds of things that really are fun to be here and put out in front of the community for everyone to really appreciate.
Well, no question about it. When we have a good story to tell, it makes us all feel great. We'll tell every story. Not all of them will be good, but this one had a great result. We also had a chance last night to hear the story of Brock Vintner. We talked about this yesterday in the program, and Brock planned and created a little free library. Now, I don't know if we still have some of the pictures from yesterday, but these little free libraries are very small libraries that are constructed. They're on a pole. There you go, this picture one right there. And Brock made one as part of a school project, and the Township Board really loved the idea, and they recognized him for his effort. Brock is a student at one of the Walled Lake schools, one of the specialty programs there, and an amazing young man. He is a sophomore in high school, and we caught up with Brock after his recognition last night and asked him all about this little library that he built in West Bloomfield.
So I've always loved reading, and I have this class called Personal Project, and one of the aspects is doing something community-based, and I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to help others in the community get access to books and reading, and it worked out perfectly.
So I've seen the photographs, and I've seen photographs of the other little libraries around the country. What inspired your design?
Well, the Parks and Rec told me I basically had to make it like theirs that had already existed, and so I tried my very best to follow their designs, and so I used the same colored paint, same like basic layout, and yeah.
Well, Brock, you're part of a good fraternity. I don't tell them what to do at Parks and Rec either, so I get it. Were there certain books that you wanted to have in your library?
Not really. I just thought any book is good. Let's see where I go from there.
And why this project versus, there's a lot of other things you could have done for your school project. Why this one?
Reading has always been very near and dear to me. I've done a couple other things to help. Like I've donated to an organization called Project Night Night, where they help people in domestic shelters give access to books and blankets and stuffed animals. And I thought this would be a great opportunity to continue that.
All right, Brock, a great young man, and he created the Little Free Library in West Bloomfield. It's a national program that began in 2009 and makes books available for people right in their community. You just go up to this little thing. It looks like a big birdhouse. Grab a book or two. I've got another picture of one right here. And then you enjoy it. So good job, Brock. And again, recognized by the West Bloomfield Township Board. And then there was even more last night. The Township Board last night took an opportunity to honor Pastor Jack Freed, who, as you know, if you've been watching the show or involved in the community, an amazing civic leader in our community, founded the Holy Spirit Lutheran Church, and was a founder of Michigan Week and the Optimist Club. He was our go-to guy for so many different reasons here in West Bloomfield, chaplain of the police and the fire department. And last night, the Township Board had a chance to honor him. We can't play all of this. It's kind of a long clip, but it's worth our watch. And let's listen in now as Steve Kaplan and the Township Board recognize Pastor Jack Freed.
We have a proclamation to present to family of Pastor John Freed. I know we have, I think, 3 daughters and 2 in-laws. We have Sonny and Ben, and we have Jeannie, Beth, and David. Am I right? Any other relatives from the Freed family? I think I got them.
Joan.
Oh, and Joan, of course, Joan. Best for last, Joan.
Joan Thrello.
So we have a proclamation we'd like to read, and then I think each board member wishes to make a comment of the affection each one of us has for you and your family and for Pastor Freed. So why don't we begin with the resolution? Trustee Rosenberg?
This is a resolution honoring the life and legacy of Reverend Jack Freed. Whereas Jack Freed was born in Des Moines, Iowa, and moved to Moline, Illinois, where he attended Augustana College, majoring in philosophy before attending seminary school, and
whereas Reverend Jack Freed, known by the community as Pastor Jack Freed, has served West Bloomfield Township residents since 1969, where he founded the Holy Spirit Lutheran Church, originally meeting at the present-day Shaco Elementary, and in 1970 at the newly constructed Holy Spirit Lutheran Church on Orchard Lake Road. And
Whereas Pastor Jack Freed was one of the founding members of the West Bloomfield Clergy Association, which is still active to this day, and
whereas the Michigan Week Community Awards breakfast event was co-founded by Pastor Jack Freed, and the Greater West Bloomfield branch of Michigan Week is one of the longest running of all of the Michigan communities that participate, recently celebrating its 50th anniversary. And
whereas in 1972, Pastor Jack Freed was one of the 3 founders of the Optimist Club that serves the Greater West Bloomfield area, and
whereas Pastor Jack Freed has served as chaplain and counselor to the West Bloomfield Township Police and Fire Departments for nearly 50 years, and
whereas upon his retirement, Jack Freed created his blog, Jack's Winning Words, which spreads words of wisdom, positivity, and aspirations and inspiration to thousands of people. Back to Trustee Rosenberg.
the last whereas.
Whereas Pastor Jack Freed passed away on December 20th, 2022, at the age of 95, preceded in death by his wife, Mary, of 60 years, leaving to cherish his memory, his wife, Joan Thrello, his children, David, Beth, and Jeannie, 6 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild.
Mr. Manna?
now therefore be it resolved, the West Bloomfield Township Board of Trustees wish to honor the life and legacy of Pastor Jack Freed, who once said, "To have a friend, be a friend." The entire Greater West Bloomfield community will feel this great loss for years to come.
Thank you, Trustee Manna. Clerk Binder, do we have a frame certificate, or is that on a later date?
no, we do. We're,
I think we have multiple.
We have
multiple.
multiple frames.
Cheryl has them.
Oh,
Yes,
wonderful.
We do.
Okay,
So we have actually
so
one
why don't we,
for
can you present one to me, and I'm gonna have Trustee
Beth,
Rosenberg
one
present
for
it to the
Jeannie,
family.
and one for Joan.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
David, Jeannie, and Beth, would you step forward so trustee Rosenberg
David's
can
in
present you
Minnesota.
with the certificates?
David's in Minnesota. It's one's
Oh,
for
I'm
Jean,
sorry.
one's for
Why
Joan.
don't we have Joan
So
step
Joan.
forward?
Yeah, Joan, Jeannie, and Beth.
I didn't see David. We all want to take my hand. Come on, Joel.
So sorry for your loss.
Freed family being recognized, members of the Freed family, two of his daughters and his wife, having an opportunity to say a few words to members of the township board. We're going to stay with this just a little bit longer. I know this has taken some time. Hopefully we'll have enough time to get in some of the comments that were very moving last night from the various board members before we have to wrap up. And again, if you want to see this entire clip, it is available on Civic Center TV in the meeting section of our website. And I would invite you to go and tune in. And this will also, as all meetings do, air this afternoon at 1 o'clock right here on Civic Center TV. Let's
In
listen in.
2017, all of us remember, we had a reception, for lack of a better term, in honor of Pastor Freed, and he was here. And it's just so wonderful. He had an opportunity to hear at that time in 2017 how the public loved him. And it was really a great event. Jeff Lee deserves part of the credit for suggesting that we hold the event. So we thought here at the board level, all 7 of us revered Pastor Freed, that each one of us would offer short comments just showing how much we cared for him. Trustee Rosenberg?
Thank you. I apologize for having lost my place in the resolution. I didn't know that I was going to be asked to speak. And there's so much I can say, and I don't know how to say it in like 2 minutes. So let me say the best time of the week that I had was when I got to pick up Jack and drive him to the Optimist Club. It was the most fun. It was a great time, both driving him there, driving him home, and sitting with him at the Optimist Club, because I learned so much about life and so much about Jack and so much about myself that I was happy that he asked me to drive him. So that was then, but I first met Jack when I called him up and asked him if he would have lunch with me, because I was on the board. I was the first on the board in 2008, and we were having problems with that board. There was a lot of dissension, a lot of argument, and we would stay up till 1 in the morning fighting with each other. And I didn't know how to work with that. And so I asked him for his help, and he gave me such wonderful advice that he was the only spiritual advisor I ever really had. And he was such a wonderful and giving person. He always had the best ideas, and he was always positive. So Jack was my friend, Joan is my friend, and I love them both. Joan, I love you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Rosenberg. Trustee Manna?
Many of you may not know this, but one of the jewels of West Bloomfield Township is the Shenandoah Country Club. And as a member of the Chaldean community, we're at about 20% now of West Bloomfield Township and still growing. And one of the thoughts that comes to me is the reason we have Shenandoah Country Club is because of Pastor Jack Freed. He was one of the reasons that Shenandoah got approved. I could say a lot more than that, but there's 5 more speakers here. So we as a community will never forget that. So thank you, Pastor Freed, up in heaven.
Thank you, Trustee Manna. Treasurer Weingarten?
Yeah, so I know we've all spoken a lot at the community celebrations about the unbelievable impact that Reverend Freed had, and I learned a lot too, even about things I didn't know. But I just find it so interesting how so many of the things that I'm involved in now, he started. My dad was always involved with the Optimist Club, and so I got to know Reverend Freed pretty early on. And then we would go to Michigan Week always together, so I got to know Reverend Freed even better. And then when I got into office, all of a sudden, I was going to these events and on committees and doing clergy and community and just getting to spend special time. And I always would try to sit by him because, like, he's just so nice and smart and wise. And my most favorite memory is actually when we dedicated Fire Station 3. He was just so proud, and I'm sure Debbie remembers we were doing photo shoots. And he was just beaming. He was just so proud of West Bloomfield and our public safety, both police and fire, and it just really a foundation of our community.
Thank you, Treasurer Weingarten. Trustee Warshay?
I was talking with Deb Macon right before the meeting, and she was expressing how strongly she felt the loss of Pastor Freed, how much he meant to her, and that sort of goes with what Mr. Supervisor, you said, does she have a twin? And I think he really was her twin in terms of their involvement in the everyday life of West Bloomfield and the West Bloomfield area. So just all the things that everybody else has said, I won't repeat them, but there'll be a lasting impact, positive impact on our lives.
Thank you, Trustee Warshay. Clerk Binder?
I think one thing that's evident from every comment that's made is Pastor Jack was many people's pathway to involvement and inclusion within a community. He supported a community, he celebrated a community, he nourished the community, and it was an important part of that community. Some of the things I will miss is every phone call with Pastor Jack ended with, "I'm grateful for your friendship," or "I appreciate your friendship." And I'm trying to incorporate that into more of my own conversations. He was special, and you knew you were special to him, and that kind of interaction you can't replace. He came to campus one day for a Food Truck Tuesday, and I was meeting with Joan and Pastor Jack for lunch at the food truck, and word got out. I called the police station, I called the library, I called the Parks building, and all of a sudden, it's like a celebrity sighting on campus. Everyone came out just to get a hug from Pastor Jack, because there was just nothing better than the encouraging smile and the positivity of Pastor Jack. And one of the things one of the interviews I did online with that I think is so important is our community has changed over time. People have come and go, and there have been good times, bad times, changes constantly, but the one constant all throughout has been Pastor Jack, and I really look at him as the foundation of everything that is good in West Bloomfield. There's very little that he didn't have his hand in a very positive way. I know that I miss him every day. I was not able to be at the memorial service last week. I did watch it, and to just see, to see everybody speak about him with the words, every single one is well-earned, well-deserved, and he will absolutely be remembered as an important part of this community and an important friend to me.
Thank you, Clerk Binder. Trustee Rosenfeld-Swimmer?
Well, being last, there's not much more I can say other than Pastor Jack has made a huge impact on this township, police and fire especially, and everyone he's come in contact with. You must be so proud of the man that he was. And a loss is never easy, no matter who it is, how close you are. I know that some of us will feel this way more than others, but I just wanted to let you know that you will be in my thoughts and prayers.
Thank you, Trustee Swimmer. I had the honor of meeting Jack Freed in 1979, and the way that happened, not that anybody cares, is I was selected. I had the honor of working for a judge in circuit court named George LaPlata, and Pastor Freed and George LaPlata were good friends, and at the ceremony where the judge was invested as a circuit judge, Jack Freed read the benediction, stated the benediction. It was just fabulous. So fast forward 6 years, I met a nice young woman named Lisa Weingarten, who lived across the street from the Freed family, and she became best friends with Jeannie and Beth, and she remains best friends with Jeannie and Beth today. My wife's here in the audience, and so what does it have to do with anything? So when Lisa and I became engaged, and I saw Pastor Freed, and I said, "What do you think of my impending marriage?" And he said, You got the better part of that bargain. And then fast forward, I'm at an Optimist Club about 15 years later, and there's a new member, and I introduced a new member, and I think Trustee Rosenberg was with me, to Pastor Jack Freed, and this woman said, "Hello, Pastor," and he said, "Call me Jack." So that's how he was. The modesty is amazing. Anyway, all 7 of us cherish Pastor Freed. We respect his family and his many friends, countless number of friends. So thank you very much to all of you for attending, and Godspeed.
Steve Kaplan, West Bloomfield Township Board, and the members of the Township Board last night honoring Pastor Jack Freed. And if you didn't have a chance to meet him or know him, I think after hearing all that and hearing the memorials and seeing the service that we had last week, you have some idea of the amazing contribution he made to our community, to Beth and Jeannie and his wife Joan, who were there last night, and his son David, and everyone in the Freed family. Thank you very much for sharing your father with us. Thank you for sharing your morning with us. That's going to be it. Running a little late. I got to get out of here. Tyler Keefe is coming up next. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and thank you for watching The Splash Live.
My Michigan TV is streaming everywhere.